If you want to start reading the Bible or you've tried several times and you just couldn't stick with it, this week is for you. I often get questions about what Bible I use, what translation I use. I get questions about Bible study recommendations. When do you study? How long do you study? Where do I even start reading the Bible? So this week I'm trying to answer all those questions. Today we're going to jump right into it with which Bible translation should you use. There are many different ones, and I know you've heard of the King James Version, the New King James, the ESV, NIV, NLT. There's tons of them, and when you look at it, it can be very overwhelming. I got on this kick probably a year ago that I wanted to find the perfect translation, the best translation, and I probably spent hours reading only to find out that the best version is the version you're going to actually read. And what I mean by that is if you are just starting out reading the Bible, reading scripture and the different writing styles is going to be tough enough. So you really shouldn't start with a translation where you're having to look up every other word. And you may want to skip over all the these, thou, thous. Two translations I typically recommend people start with are the NIV, the New International Version, or the NLT, the New Living Translation. When I first started reading the Bible myself, I started out with the NIV, which was very easy for me to read as a first-time Bible reader. After looking at several of them, I actually prefer the New King James Version, but I have recently started going through the ESV because that's what my church uses, and I like to kind of stay on the same track and follow along during our sermons. But if I were recommending one for you to buy, if you have never read through the Bible before, I would say the NIV or the NLT. Okay, so be thinking about the translation you want to start with, and then tomorrow we will talk about the different Bible styles. I will show you some that I have. We'll talk about a regular Bible versus a journaling Bible or a study Bible. I can show you a few of mine. Then the rest of the week, I'll talk about some of the studies I used early on, some that I use now. We can talk about how I went about going through scripture when I first started, finding a time for you to actually sit down and study, and different outlines I've used. We'll do something. I know that when I started reading for myself, it was life-changing. There's just something about actually getting into scripture yourself, reading it, studying it. It's just really great. So I'll see you tomorrow.